America's soybean harvest is shaping up to be one of the strongest in years. Sounds like good news, right? Not so fast. Farmers across the Midwest are scratching their heads and staring at shrinking bank balances because their number one buyer, China, hasn't placed a single order this season. From Iowa to Indiana, frustration is growing. But there may be a twist. Recently, Washington hosted what insiders dubbed the Soybean breakfast meeting. Despite the name, it wasn't about pancakes. It was a high-stakes attempt to restart stalled trade. The atmosphere is thick with diplomatic formality. At the table sits Chinese Ambassador Xi Feng, a key figure in the delicate US-China relationship. Facing him are leaders from the American Soybean Association, the ASA, alongside US officials. This isn't a routine trade meeting. It's a high-stakes negotiation where the livelihoods of thousands of American farmers hang in the balance. A simple bowl of soybeans on the table serves as a potent symbol of the multi-billion-dollar industry at the core of the conversation. Seizing the opportunity, the American delegation makes its case with conviction. After years of trade disputes that saw China turn to other suppliers, the ASA's mission is to mend fences and urgently press for the renewal of Chinese purchases. They stress the importance of a reliable and sustainable supply chain, hoping to recapture their position as China's preferred partner. ASA President Jana Fritz, a farmer herself, cuts straight to the point. "We produce high-quality soybeans," she states, "and China is our most critical partner. We want them to stay engaged as buyers." This isn't just rhetoric. US soybeans are prized for their high protein content and sustainable cultivation. For decades, China was the destination for nearly 1 in every 3 rows of soybeans grown in America, a foundational relationship they are desperate to restore. Another industry leader, Caleb Ragland, drives home the stark economic reality. He underscores the profound urgency, explaining that without the immense scale of Chinese demand, prices plummet. For many family farms, this isn't a matter of profit margins, but of survival. "We are facing steep losses," he warns, painting a picture of a crisis brewing in America's heartland. The question lingering in the air is whether their plea will be enough. He pointed out that Brazil, America's top competitor, now enjoys lower tariffs and closer ties with Beijing, leaving US soybeans at a disadvantage. To understand what's at stake, it helps to rewind. Back in 2018, Washington and Beijing locked horns in a trade war. US tariffs triggered retaliatory measures from China, including steep taxes on American soybeans. At one point, Chinese tariffs reached 23%, a devastating blow. Before the conflict, US exports to China regularly exceeded 20 million tons annually. Afterward, Brazil swooped in and captured much of that market share, never letting go. Fast forward to 2025. The global soybean market is witnessing a seismic shift. This autumn, China, the world's largest soybean importer, has already secured over 12 million tons of the oilseed from South America, while placing 0 comparable orders from the United States. This isn't just a seasonal fluctuation, it's a clear, strategic pivot with profound implications for global agricultural trade. For decades, American farmers were the primary suppliers to China, but that relationship has frayed, leaving a vacuum that Brazil is more than willing to fill. The scale of this realignment is staggering. In 2024, China imported nearly 75 million tons from Brazil alone. That's more than 70% of its entire supply, a figure that has been steadily climbing. This burgeoning partnership is built on mutual benefit. Brazil, enjoying successive record-breaking harvests, offers a consistent and competitively priced supply chain that insulates Beijing from the geopolitical tensions that have complicated its trade with Washington. The shift also extends into the world of high finance. In a direct challenge to the US dollar's dominance, a growing number of these deals are settled in China's own currency, the yuan. This financial maneuver is a key part of Beijing's strategy to de-risk its economy. And for Beijing, this is a matter of national priority. Soybeans are non-negotiable. They are the bedrock of the nation's food security, crushed to produce protein-rich meal for its vast livestock industry and oil for cooking. From tofu to soy sauce, soybeans are woven into the very fabric of Chinese life, making a secure supply chain absolutely essential. But necessity doesn't mean dependency. China has been playing the long game, diversifying suppliers, boosting domestic production, and reducing exposure to US trade risks. Any potential purchases from America will likely be symbolic gestures rather than a genuine lifeline for US farmers. Meanwhile, US agriculture faces deeper structural challenges. Farming here isn't simply about feeding Americans. It's a high-stakes business, deeply enmeshed in a massive global export system. This entire structure is heavily influenced by a handful of corporate giants. Companies like Cargill control the flow of grain from farm to port, while Bayer, which acquired Monsanto, dictates what is grown through its dominance in patented seed and chemical technology. They've created an intricate web connecting a single farm in Iowa to a dinner table in Shanghai. This forces farmers into a precarious cycle of dependency. They rely on patented seeds, which are designed to work only with expensive, proprietary chemical packages from the same company. To afford these inputs, farmers take on substantial bank loans at the start of each season, betting their entire livelihood on a successful harvest and favourable market prices, factors which are increasingly outside of their control. With most of their crops, especially soybeans, destined for foreign markets, this system is incredibly fragile. Losing a single colossal customer like China is therefore catastrophic. When trade disputes erupt, the ripple effect is immediate. Prices plummet, leaving farmers with crops they can't sell profitably. And this isn't just an economic issue, it's a deeply political one, turning their livelihoods into bargaining chips on the world stage. China's shift away from US soybeans directly impacts red state America, where agriculture forms the backbone of local economies and political support. In 2018, a third of all US soybeans went to China. By 2023, that number had already dropped to 24%. Now, with zero orders on the books for 2025, farmers are staring down warehouses full of unsold crops and mounting debt. Some suggest US farmers pivot to other crops or new markets, but the reality is more complicated. Domestic consumption is limited, and alternative buyers like India or African nations simply don't have the dollars or the capacity to replace China's purchasing power. In 2024, China bought over 22 million tons of US soybeans. By contrast, India imported just 3.7 million tons, barely a dent. Soybeans aren't like oil or steel. They spoil if they sit too long. That means US farmers can't afford to wait around for new customers to materialize. Without large-scale dollar-paying buyers, many face bankruptcy as banks reclaim land, equipment, and storage facilities. In the end, this isn't just about soybeans, it's about leverage. China knows it holds the stronger hand. and it's using that position strategically. If Washington wants to rescue American farmers, it will take more than photo ops and polite breakfasts. It will require addressing tariffs, repairing trust, and competing on fairer terms. Otherwise, America's soybean story will remain the same. Plenty of crops, but nowhere to sell them.